Hello and welcome to Shorts That Are Not Pants Virtual Film Festival 2020. I'm excited to be here with Patrick Muhlberger, the director of Hot Dog. Welcome, Patrick. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's very cool. I was just talking to you before we started recording about how it's been a few years. We showed your film Pop Music back in 2016 when we were just a little quarterly series, and we're excited now to have you in our festival for the first time.
Yeah, I'm very stoked. I remember the support you gave me back then, and so every time I make something, you're the first people I send it to. So I'm
That's
very excited to
fantastic.
be a part of this again.
Cool, and we're very happy to have it. I hope by now people watching this will have seen the film. It's incredible. When we saw it, it was sort of like a dizzying kind of escalating sort of thriller in a parking lot. I guess I'll start by saying uh, it seems like a terrifically hard film to make. What was the genesis of this idea, and why did you want to make a film that was like a one shot film?
Yeah, I think in my mind I was like, oh, that'll be easier if I just make it in one shot. I don't have to, you know, I won't have to really edit it that much. It'll just be a quick thing to make.
Right.
And I will tell you, it's not easier, and I learned a lot while doing it.
Yeah.
Um, I think, I want to make more things. And so I thought I want to kind of challenge myself to get rid of my usual tricks. And so I figured focus on performance and story and less the style. But then, of course, I got overly ambitious and thought the camera should spin the whole time. So it
Right.
very quickly got bigger than I intended to, like everything I made.
What was the writing process like? Was it, like, was this sort of a quick thing that you wrote and then had to figure out how to make, or was it a long process just writing the dialogue?
Yeah, it's actually based on a true story.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of it really happened to me. And so I kind of knew the structure, and there were a lot of weird characters in the real event. So I kind of had a lot of it figured out in the first draft. And then as we cast it and as we rehearsed it, a lot of things just changed based on like performance and blocking and what was or wasn't possible. So it really kind of shifted as we brought it to life, just based on what we knew we could do and what the actors brought to it. So it had like a pretty firm structure from the get-go, and then as we just tried to bring it to life, everything changed, but I think it's all the better for it.
Yeah, no, it's great. The end result. I guess I'll ask you, how many takes did you do? I mean, is that even the right term to use when you're shooting a whole 10-minute film all at
Yeah,
once?
yeah. I think we tried 8 times.
Wow.
We got all the way through it 3 times. And the take we used, the signal went out while we were recording it. So I didn't actually see it while we were filming. I just let
Wow.
them finish. And then I actually thought we were going to use a different take. And when we went back to watch it, this was like this hidden gem that I just hadn't even seen on the day. So it was fun to come home that night and be like, oh no, we're going to use this one. This is the fun one.
That's great. Was it shot in like one weekend sort of thing, or like how did you do the shooting?
Yeah, we shot it all one Saturday morning, about a year ago exactly.
Yeah.
And we'd rehearsed it a couple times, but then we kind of recast some stuff due to availability. So a lot of people were figuring it out the morning of, and again, I think like ignorance made it easy for me. I just thought everyone would be able to handle it, and they did, but it was a lot to learn that day. And I worked with a lot of actors who have like stage experience or Broadway experience or dancers. So a lot of the choreography they could pick up and hit every time, just because it's such an elaborate, twisty move.
Yeah, was there a lot of storyboarding in this, or like how did you come up with the camera movements? Was that sort of instinctual, or was it all mapped out really carefully?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, I this is going to sound very artsy, but I was like, oh, the main character should be a beehive, and everyone else should be a bee buzzing around him. And
That's great.
I said that to the DP, and he was like, let's spin. And then we just, got that idea of spinning. And we ended up doing a rehearsal the week before with just like me and my friends kind of filling in a lot of the roles. And we had an iPhone and we blocked everything out on this iPhone.
Wow.
And it was really messy, but that was what we could send to people. So we sent it to crew, we sent it to cast, and we'd say like, we're making this just better. And so everyone could see what the final product would kind of look like. And that previs was our guide to the entire thing.
How was it having crew there? I mean, I guess because the camera was moving so much, you know, how did you keep everybody out of the way? Like, what was involved in trying to have a crew there as well as your actors?
Yeah, I will say, I think behind the camera is at least 2 or 3 people running the whole time, like our audio technician and our DP was just like running behind the Steadicam operator. At one point, you know, there's a prop person hiding underneath a bush. So he pops out, runs behind the camera, puts a dab of blood on Alicia, the main actor's face, and then disappeared. Yeah. And every car that's in the parking lot, there's somebody sitting inside. So like I'm in one of the cars, somebody else is in a different one of the cars. It's basically like people are hidden everywhere in the entire thing just because you see 360 and it's just pure sunlight. So there was really no hiding.
Were you communicating with your DP like somehow through a phone or something or a walkie?
Yeah, kind of. I don't think we had enough walkies to really be communicating that much. My friend Andrew was kind of the AD, and he was just running back and forth, signaling people by like waving his hands over his head. And I'm on the phone with the lead actor playing the girlfriend during the shoot. So I was talking to him, and I could do the timing and kind of communicate a bit with him that way. So we had someone to play off of. So it really was kind of like each take was wildly different because things would just change based on it. So it's like people ask, is it multiple takes merged together? And it's not. And there was no way to do it because each one felt so different just because we were pretty loose in how we were cueing people and timing shifted constantly.
Right. And what about the broken window? Like, how did you reset that, I guess? Is that something that was just a prop? I don't know. Like I'm just sort of the whole thing feels so organic and real that I'm wondering how you were able to repeat certain parts of it.
Yeah, well, it's a CG window. So he's throwing a rubber rock, which is actually on my shelf, through. That's my car, and we opened the window. So there's no window, so he threw it directly through, and then we added the window later. But the other thing we had to do is this rubber rock bounced when it hit the car. So it's like ping-ponging around. And so we had to paint out this bouncing rock as well. And we were very nervous that we'd get through the whole take and then the actor would miss the window with his throw because he'd be so keyed up. And so we told him no matter what, just pretend it goes in. But he always hit it every time.
He's something else. He's fantastic. I want to talk about him specifically because the previous film we showed of yours, Pop Music, he's also the lead in that. And I don't know if I've seen him in a lot of other things, but I'd love to. Can you talk about how you know him and what your working relationship is like with him?
Yeah, so his name is Alicia Yaffe. And, you know, I met him when I first came to LA, just kind of in the comedy scene. He was doing these live shows, and he has kind of done everything. He's been a writer, he's been a performer, he's been on Better Call Saul, he's been in a million commercials. And he kind of had this thing going for a while where he was like the stoner type in every commercial here in the US. And I love to cast people in things they've never done before. So with my first short, I was like, he always plays a goofball. What if he plays like a crazy person? And then, you know, with this one, a lot of times I think because we're close friends, it's like, how can I torture him on camera? So I was like, I want him to take his shirt off. I want him to be freaking out the whole time. And I think I think what I love about him is he's very funny, but he's also able to play things very real. So like, he's not telling jokes the whole time. He's kind of just getting tortured. And Alicia is the best at that. He's in a lot of short films. He's kind of like this unofficial king of shorts in LA here, but he's great. And he's so collaborative. And, you know, he just really picked it up and he nailed the blocking every time, which was great.
And what about the rest of your cast? You said there were some changes. Do you have a group of actor friends that you sort of draw from, or did you cast this sort of externally, or how did that happen?
It's all friends. Everyone involved in this one was friends and people I've known. And I'd seen in other shorts, or they were friends of friends. Some of the people in it, I used to do a live show here in LA, like a musical theater live show. And so I pulled people that were in that or that I'd met from that. All of the people, the extras in the background are like friends or significant others of cast or crew members. It was basically like I sent out an email to everyone I'd ever met in LA. And I was like, can you give me 6 hours in a parking lot on a hot day? And people showed up. Yeah, I think for me, for casting, a lot of it is like who've I seen in other people's work or on plays or in shows, and then I get excited by what they do, and I find something for them. I don't do a lot of auditions. It's a lot of like people I've seen be good in other people's stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, the script. I mean, it's one of those scripts that's it's pretty tight. But I wanted to know if there was any improvisation at all, or was this all very, very, was it sort of word by word? It had to be perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty scripted out. When we rehearsed, we had time to like improvise a bit, and I would steal things like some of the bickering between the Matt and Christina characters. They were improvising because they could feel the camera holding on them, so they would just dig at each other. And also there's a lot of like secret ADR jokes that I added later because I would feel dead space and would just kind of add like dumb jokes. And then honestly, Sean's line at the end about "Is there a dog in that car too?" That was just something on the day we changed our ending in the moment. We didn't know what to do, and I was like, he just came up and we said that, and it ended up working really well, and I fell in love with it.
Well, thanks again for joining us. I wanted to talk. Maybe the last thing I'll ask you is if you've got anything else that you're working on that we can look forward to.
Yeah, I've been focusing a lot on features and trying to get some bigger projects off the ground, but I think I'm going to be shooting some things here, hopefully before the end of the year, just in the short space. COVID has obviously made it a lot harder to make things, but I've finally gotten inspired again, and I'm excited to kind of get some things hopefully shot before this year ends.
That's great. I hope maybe you'll send it to us next year, and
absolutely.
We'll be happy to have you back. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye.